I think AI is making people used to like customization. Like your ChatGPT, when you talk to it, knows a lot about you already. There's a reason they do that. They know that like the best software knows who you are, knows your business, and each business is unique, right? Most software today you sell and it's like everyone uses the same thing, right? Maybe there's subtle customization, but for the most part it's all the same. And I think that the hardest problem with the AI software is going to be making it in a way that like it works for everyone, but is also dynamic to every user.
Welcome back to Growth Lab Sessions. I'm João, CEO of Stealth White Label Agency, and my mission is simple: to help marketing agencies grow and build sustainable success. Today, I'm joined by Eduardo Faroni, who lives and breathes the mission of solving problems with software. From computer science at Berkeley to investing over $100 million of equity at a real estate fund, he's proven what's possible when you combine tech skills to new industries. Eduardo, co-founder of Stealth IQ, is solving problems of uncovering forgotten opportunities in your agency's go high level. Eduardo, are you ready to take it to the lab?
I am, yes sir.
All right, awesome. So let's give some context to the listeners. Like, tell us a little bit of your story, going to school, transitioning into the corporate world, and then where we are today.
Yeah, thank you for the intro, by the way. We've known each other for a minute, but I guess I'll get to how we met in college. Like most people, I went to school in the US specifically. And I was always better at math and certain subjects. So that's kind of why when I did go to university, I ended up doing computer science. It was like, I hated memorizing shit. So biology and a lot of those subjects like history were just off the table. And then I wasn't that good at English. Maybe that's because I was born in Brazil, I don't know. And then our parents didn't help us at all with that.
Yeah.
So I think that computer science, I had done one class in high school that I really enjoyed. And I think I really liked creating something from nothing. That's really powerful. And I was always interested in business. So I always felt like learning that in college to then be able to apply it in the business world is what interested me from the beginning. And that's kind of why I went to Berkeley. Berkeley is a good school for computer science. That's where I met João actually playing soccer, which is a huge passion of mine, by the way. That was probably like half of my childhood was playing soccer. And then the other half was studying. And so when I got into Berkeley, like most people, I didn't know for sure what I wanted to do. I think all you really know is like what people tell you to work in, which is they basically just tell you to do something that pays well, right? Yeah. Like doctor, lawyer, engineer, like the typical middle to low income parent telling you what to do.
Yeah.
And I think that once I got into the corporate world where I worked as a software engineer in the beginning, it was one of those realizations that I was like, damn, this is not like a one semester course. This shit is your life, basically, right? We spend more time working.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's kind of why in my career I was always open to trying new ideas. So I worked 5 years in software, and then I went into private equity for 3 years because I wanted to work in investing. And then with AI and especially for me that was building code before AI, I'm like, holy shit, this is insane.
Yeah.
You could do stuff way faster with way less people. So I think it just makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
And I think even Sam Altman, like the OpenAI creator, he was like, oh, this is the era of the creator, the creative person. And I totally agree. So that's kind of why I'm like back into the, entrepreneurial world and working with João here.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So, something really interesting for people that were writing code before AI, like what's the biggest change that got you to now actually be interested in getting back to programming, but like you have AI. So what has changed?
I think the biggest thing, and I guess a good analogy is my twin brother was like doing coding in high school as well. And he was like, I hate this shit. And the reason why he described he hated it is he said it's like you're writing grammar and it has to be perfect.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing that changed is that you can write code now with normal English as opposed to learning like an alien language. So I think that's one, is that it's just much more pleasant to just speak what you want to do rather than saying like, oh, let me write it perfectly. And if code doesn't run unless it's perfect, basically.
Yeah. So here's a question. Do you feel like other people that are non-programmers can build build apps and software as well as you with AI? Or you're like years beyond them because you actually understand what's being done with AI?
I think that people that got into it early can probably do it at a similar level, which is crazy because AI became big like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know because I haven't compared myself to someone like that. Yeah, I think it's definitely an advantage that I have because I already kind of know what to do. I know how to build code at scale. So it's like, it helps.
Yeah.
But for example, my twin brother now is working on software with his business partner and they're more into real estate. But when I talk to him on the phone, I can tell that there's a bunch of stuff that they have no idea what they're doing yet, but they'll learn. And I think eventually AI will probably get to the point where you can build things without being technical. But I still think that like building a real application that you could sell that is like properly set up and then you can actually maintain is not that easy yet.
Yeah. Do you feel like what the what the problems of people building applications that are non-programmers are going to face? Do you feel like the barriers they're going to run into?
Yeah, I think if you were to go into an AI Claude Code and then ask it like, I want to build it for me. I think that like from the ground up, it can build interesting stuff, but that stuff is going to run, locally on your computer. And I think the gap people have is when they want to actually sell the software, right? Because you have to have users and sessions are a pain in the ass. You have to like accept payments and deal with payments. You have to build at scale. You have to have a real database. You have to have a real website. And I think these things are kind of tedious to build. And so I think that like making it sellable and getting it to that state is what I think people will struggle with.
Yeah.
And then especially when you get to scale, if you do, that's hard, I think, as well. Okay. Because once your code gets big enough, it's not like that easy to make changes if you don't have the right system in place.
Yeah. So for people listening that are interested in scaling, whatever product they're trying to build with AI, what do you think are what is, some sort of advice that you have for them for being able to build an AI product? Is it more about what they should study? Is it about partnering with somebody who is, they're like technical co-founder essentially? How would you think about it if you were on the other side, non-technical, but wanted to launch an AI software?
Yeah, I would I think you could get to an MVP, and that doesn't necessarily have to live on the web, right? You could have like a local, code that works that you could go to somebody and say, hey, like you're technical, you can help me scale this. Here's my idea. Here's it working. You could show an investor that and raise money. Mm-hmm. So I think like the MVP, like building a prototype, you can be non-technical and do to raise the money that you'll then need to hire like your first technical guy, your like co-founder that's the tech guy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah. So when you're building something, like what is interesting for you in terms of the problem you're going to solve? Yeah.
Which is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah. So when you're building something, like what is interesting for you in terms of the problem you're going to solve? A quick break in the podcast to tell you about Stealth, my white label marketing agency. If you're an agency owner and feeling stuck in fulfillment, hiring, and team management while trying to scale, this is for you. Stealth helps agency owners like you take fulfillment off your plate so you can focus on growth of your agency, from running ad campaigns and SEO to creating high converting content and managing CRMs. We handle the back end for your clients so you don't have to. Whether you're drowning in client work or struggling to scale your agency, Stealth gives you the support you need to scale without the headache. And if that sounds like a fit, then check out our website link in the description and book a time to speak with a consultant. And now back to the pod.
I think there's two things. I think like there's the art of solving a problem. So like it doesn't matter what you give, like what problem you're trying to solve. I think anyone who codes or somewhat enjoys coding just likes the pleasure of starting from nothing and then building something that works. It's like super satisfying, right? Mm-hmm. I think sometimes, you get frustrated along the way, but I think seeing what it was when you started versus like something that actually works is really rewarding. Like the art of creating something is very rewarding. Mm-hmm. And then I think on the other side, just outside of building, which is not super easy to build something, it's like the problem you're solving, right? So in an ideal world, you're like solving a passion, right? It's like your passion project. I think for this one, I think we're both passionate about who our beneficiaries are. Like we want to help small businesses because we think entrepreneurship is important, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that aspect is what I like about our product that we're building, is like we have like a cool end game in terms of who it helps.
Yeah.
But we're also like, we enjoy building businesses and solving problems.
For sure. But when you think about the technical aspects and the feasibility of a project, the size of the market, like you have said some things to me about how this problem is interesting. And it sounded like it had something to do with how data was structured or unstructured.
Right. Yeah, I think on that point, like the crazy thing about AI is that unstructured data was like hard as shit back in the day, like 3 years ago, right? I remember that there was a startup that they had like basically you could upload a receipt and it could extract data from any receipt, and like other kind of basic documents, it could like pull data. And that 3-4 years ago was like, holy shit, that's like a super useful hard problem. Mm-hmm. Today, you could just go to ChatGPT, upload an image and be like, take the data out. Mm-hmm. And I think like the biggest change that I saw in like computer science is that the fact that like AI knows what to do with unstructured data, like it can put structure in something unstructured, and unstructured is like really hard to work with.
Right.
So I think that that's the biggest thing that most people are like, holy shit, like now I can actually do stuff with unstructured data. I don't need like hard-coded rules. I don't need like looking for patterns that, I think that the fact that it can just interpret things that aren't structured is why I think like, oh, this is a problem for AI. Mm-hmm. And that's why, the CRM stuff that we're working on is perfect for AI. And like, I like the idea because I said, you literally couldn't solve that idea 3 years ago, and now you can.
Yeah.
And I think that like the biggest thing is the why now in software. Like timing is everything, right? And so I think that that's one of the things why I say like, oh, it's a great problem now, because I know like, okay, this is like not long ago you couldn't even do this.
So what do you think becomes the challenge now with AI to make it functional? Like the software that we're building, right? Mm-hmm. How do we get it to work well? Like what needs to be done for it to work well and solve the problems we want to solve?
I think that the direction it's going, well, number one, obviously, like all of our users who use it have to say like, hey, this is actually helpful, right? You don't get that much mercy unless they know that it's very early test stages, right? But when you give it to somebody, they have to see results, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the challenges is going to be, I think AI is making people used to like customization. Like your ChatGPT, when you talk to it, knows a lot about you already. There's a reason they do that. They know that like the best software knows who you are, knows your business, and each business is unique, right? Mm-hmm. Most software today you sell and it's like everyone like uses the same thing, right? Maybe there's subtle customization, but for the most part, it's all the same. And I think that the hardest problem with the AI software is going to be making it in a way that like it works for everyone, but is also dynamic to every user, which is now also more possible with AI. So I think that that's going to be the key thing. And then also having agents that, you know, can do things for people, like automating things that are like not structured, that like don't have clear rules. Because, you know, all of the stuff getting funded now is like agent apps. So I think that those are the two things I would say are the hardest thing.
Yeah. What would you say has been the shift from like traditional software companies to AI software companies?
I think there's a lot. Structure wise, I would say like companies are smaller. The All In podcast, which, you know, some of you probably listen to, I think Chamath, who's one of the speakers, he said it perfectly. He was like, look, VC is going to be smaller check sizes and smaller teams. And I think that initial building to MVP is going to be faster, and you're going to do it with less money, which is cool, right? Because it like gives power to people like us, you know, who want to basically bootstrap a company. I think we have more. So that's like one of the biggest things that changed. I think that also the way we think about an app, right? Like knowing what AI can do, I think, you know, you already seeing AI chatbots, like tell me what this website does, right? Maybe we're going to see a world where it's like, instead of having like buttons and like having to know how to use a site, maybe you just speak to it and say like, hey, here's what. So I think that like the way people use websites will change. And I think the speed at which you use sites will change. And then the architecture will obviously change because of that. So I think that we're going to see like a new website. We're going to see a lot more like device that we speak to and like use apps that way.
Yeah,
that's going to
change. Have you heard of machine as a service being a term like that's substituting SaaS for like software as a service?
I mean, it makes sense.
It's becoming as like machine as a service because you're not going to be in charge of setting it up and configuring your software and like creating columns and creating like tags and creating different things. Like the idea of AI software, it's that it's going to do all of that work for you, right? So if we're talking about Salesforce software, right? A CRM that's like the biggest CRM in the world, probably. You have to hire a sales operation person to integrate everything, to structure the data, to make sure that they're cleaning the data, to like onboard a new salesperson into a new pipeline or something like that. But there needs to be a professional that's being paid, you know, for bigger teams. I know I had soft sales operations people when I worked in sales departments. But the idea now is that you're just going to like speak to software, or you're just going to prompt software to do whatever you want it to do, right? So let's take software or CRM, for example. The idea is that you're not going to have to maybe write so many messages, right? Or write like most of it. You're not going to move like pipeline stages from one pipeline stage to the other because it's already going to interpret what pipeline stage that you should go to. It's already going to give insights and ideas into like new pipeline stages you should move to, or follow-ups you should do, like next step and so on. And so that's where it's going, right?
I think so.
So when you know that it's going in this way, because like the sign is written on the walls, right? How do you think about building software in terms of like, what should the user experience be like, right? Like super simple, just like, welcome, here's a text box. What do you want done? Right? Like, how do you think about user experience when you think about this new sort of software era?
I think you hit it on the head. I think that like always thinking simply, right? Because ultimately we want to do as little work as possible and let AI do the rest, right? That's like why agents are so attractive, because they do everything for you. And I think that we're going to move away from the world of like using super complicated apps that have a bunch of bullshit that like nobody knows how to work with, and more towards like, tell me, like I work for you, tell me what you want and I'll produce, or I'll show you the data, right? So I think to your point, like on the UI part of it, it's like, just think simply, right? Like don't have that many buttons. Think about like, do I actually need all these things there? And maybe, you know, we start with showing people that because that's what converts the best. But like, we have to always plan with the notion that, you know, eventually this thing might be on somebody's wrist. Right. So I think that on the UI, like that could be, because the salespeople that use like our app, right, like they should just be on calls. That's it. They shouldn't have to go to a bullshit CRM and like take notes and then like, you know, remember who to call. It should just like, they should just be able to talk to somebody that says, here's who you should call. Like,
should it be able to talk to you and be like, this is what you need to do today?
I think yes. That's
so like,
what could be.
For example, let's talk about the CRM that we're, you know, building, or, you know, the application to CRM that we're building, which is high level, right? Should the salesperson get to their workplace, open, you know, the app, and then prompt like the app, what should I do today in order to hit my quota? And then he's just gonna lay it out.
I think that would be a great tool for a lot of people. Like some people will want, this is back to the customization, right? Some people like structure. They want something to tell them like, oh, here's what you should do. Others, maybe if you're like a visionary, right? Maybe you have better ideas than the AI, right? So I think like being able to do both is important. I think that, definitely.
And so you're thinking about, you know, the AI is going to tell like, what should I do today in terms of follow-ups? Boom, it's going to list all of the follow-ups. And then maybe I can say like, hey, you know what? I want to go over my quota. I want to hit over my quota. So I want to sell, you know, $5,000 today. What do I do? Exactly, and then it's just going to list out all of the potential opportunities that will sum to 5K a day and have the highest chance of closing because of all of the signals that the AI is able to read and surface for them.
Yeah, I think like that outcome-based request, right? It's like, for example, when I use AI, right? If I'm like, oh, I went to the doctor and like my blood pressure was high, right? I don't want to like ask AI, like show me all the books on like and articles to read. I would just say like, I'm trying to lower my blood pressure.
Right.
Give me an action plan, right? It's like, I'm trying to increase my quota. Give me like, what should I do, right? I think that's the direction that AI is going to go. It's going to like outcome driven.
And like, so let's use the example of the blood pressure example, right? You go to the doctor says you have high blood pressure. And so you go to AI that could be inside of a grocery app. And you could say to the AI within the grocery app, I need to decrease my blood pressure, add all of the best like low blood or like best ingredients or best like whatever to my cart so I can check out and, you know, I'm going to get my result based as opposed to like having to put together my diet and have this result. So these are the ways that you're thinking about, you know, integrating or innovating on current apps for this AI era?
100%.
Okay.
Right. I mean, like, just think about how much money is being thrown into AI.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows that this is huge. I mean, I just think that this is going to make everything different. You know, I think that the way that we do things is going to change in the software world. I think like the interaction we have, you're already seeing like OpenAI talked about like wearables, right? Like, I'm sure Apple's going to come out with something, right? Like, I think that like we're going to become much more like you know, we'll still use computers and screens, but I think it's going to be more so like result driven and like different ways of interacting with the computer.
Yeah. Because you know, something super funny that I've been seeing you interact with your computer in different ways. And one of the ways is just walking around or like, you know, sitting down and not typing, just speaking to it. Right. And so awesome. Like you don't need a computer. No. You could just have an iPad maybe for like a big dashboard or a big, you know, sort of like view and that's all you need. You could be on the go writing or creating your software. Is that like where we're going?
I think so. Like, how cool would it be if you had like AirPods or whatever you use, and you could like go for a walk outside, because like that's way more fun than being in an office. And you just are thinking all the time, and getting spoken to by AI. It's like, hey, João, like I have to do this. Like, what do you think of the volume? You're like, yeah, go ahead and buy those groceries, have them delivered. And you talk to the next agent. It's like, hey, it's your business now. Like, hey, we have this problem with our current client.
Yeah.
Like, what should we do? So I feel like you being a thought partner with AI and then having different ways of speaking with it. Like maybe sometimes you do want to sit on your computer, but maybe you want to go for like a walk, or you want to drive somewhere, or you have like a flight, but like you have to work. So now you can work with your headset.
So essentially the medium of working is changing dramatically.
Totally.
You don't need to, type things, right? Which is slower than speaking for most humans, right? Now you can speak to it and then have a more interactive way of working with AI to solve problems.
Exactly.
Like, whereas before you might have to type and then research other things in order to create the work.
Right.
But now you don't have to type, you can just speak. You don't have to research something else because you can just ask AI.
Right.
And it's going to take that feedback and create it for you. So you don't have to create it.
Exactly.
So essentially, like this new work era is, improving dramatically in terms of like the speed of getting something done.
Yeah. I think the only challenge, at least today, is that you still need to know what to ask, right?
Yeah.
Like I've seen, like when I'm coding, right? Like, I'm speaking or typing. I ask Claude Code, do something, right? There's plenty of times where it says some really dumb shit that there's like way easier ways to do it. So I feel like having general knowledge, like remember when people used to say like, oh, it's better to be like deep in one vertical.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think that might flip.
Yeah.
Like you might be better off knowing like a little bit of or enough about everything, but not being an expert.
Yeah.
Because you have like a nerd in your pocket that you can just like talk to.
Yeah. So that's why we're now in the era of creativity. We're now in the era of the jack of all trades.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, which is what I created, I think.
So jack of all trades will now shine. Master of nones, are going to be reduced to in their capability, whereas before having technical skills, right, was made all the difference.
Yeah.
When we were going to Berkeley, if you were a computer science major, you were sought out. Yeah. And if you're a business major, like a liberal arts major like myself, it's like, hey, we don't care about you. There's plenty of you out there.
Right. Totally.
So that's super fun, man. Thank you for sharing that. Let's transition a little bit into our rapid fire questions. And so whatever comes to mind, just share it with us. And, it could be like 10 to 20 seconds per answer. Okay. So what's one tool or software that you cannot live without for creating software right now?
Claude Code.
Ooh, okay. When you think about working on a project currently, how many projects are you actively working on?
Right now, only one, but note that you can also have multiple agents working on one project. So you can do things in parallel now. So that's
awesome. And that's like something big, right? Totally. That you guys should like really tune into whatever he said, because having multiple parts of the project being done simultaneously is going to speed it up dramatically, right? So what's the coolest thing that you have done with AI?
Oh, God. Well, because it's been, 1 month back full time. Yeah. I think it's going to be this app that we're building. Okay. So it's TBD.
Okay. So, but like that's a big project, right? Are there like shorter parts of a project that you're just like, yo, this is so sick?
You know what I think? It's not related to code, but I would say the stock research that I did. Yeah. Like asking AI, like, hey, research these categories of stock, find the companies, look at these metrics like growth, like, valuation, and show me everything to then make investments. And I've made money doing that, and I've made good investments. So I think that's probably the coolest thing with AI, like investing actually with AI.
Yeah. Because like you just mentioned that one of the trades that you were looking at buying that you bought like 2 weeks ago
Right.
just went up 20%. Right?
Yeah, in like a day. And this is like buying stock, not options. So
Yeah.
it's like 20% is a shit ton.
So if you could improve one part of creating software right now with AI, what would it be?
I think we need more boilerplate setup for non-technical people, because once AI,
Okay, what's a boiler set?
like when you have a framework laid out for you, like here's your like first floor, right?
Mhm.
Build floors 2 through 10. It's easier when AI has something already there, because then it knows your style.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm working on is like a little boilerplate, like a foundation app that I'm going to give to my brother, for example,
Mhm.
for you to build on top of, because I think that like AI just performs better, and setting up the annoying BS and like walking people through, like here's how to make a database, like here's how to do user sessions, like all these things that every app does. I think like we can do better.
What's one trend in AI that you think is overhyped?
Oof. Well, at least for now, I don't think that you can write code being totally non-technical and sell it yet. I think, yes, you can learn it, but I think it's a little over-exaggerated personally. But you definitely need less developers to build as much.
Yeah, sweet. Well, awesome. And so, Eduardo, this has been a pretty cool like insight that you shared. I think there's a lot to think about for people building out software out there, for people to like think about innovating on their current products and services to make it simpler, right? In this AI age, it has to be more interactive. It has to be more solution-based driven. Now, what's one piece of advice that you want to leave Growth Lab session listeners with in mind, in terms of like, you know, these guys listening are thinking about launching things. They're thinking about growing things. They're thinking about growth tactics, right? They're thinking about creating a product that's going to scale. What's an advice that you would share with them?
I would say start simple. You know, don't build too many things. Don't try to build for everyone. Have like a very defined problem. Get something working first and then build on top of that, versus trying to do everything at once. I think start small and then test ideas quickly.
Cool. And what's a place that people listening can get in touch with you?
You can do it over email, is probably the best. It's Ferroni at Guarana Lab, which maybe João can drop how you guys spell that, because I don't think anybody will.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to link this in the show notes just below. And guys, thank you for joining us. For everyone listening, make sure that you're subscribing to Growth Lab Sessions. Make sure that you follow or send Eduardo email. You follow me on Instagram at JOWAU. And as always, I'm here, always bringing new content for you to grow your agencies, to grow your business. And I'll see you on the next one.